Right, we're live. Right, okay. Let me just wait for it to build up a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Should be live. Let's have a look, see where we are. Right, okay, let's wait. We'll just wait for a few people to build up, and then we'll get started. Meanwhile, I'm going to share this into my news feed as well, so people can. Can
I do that as well?
Yeah, if you go onto your
Facebook, yeah, I'm going to do it now.
And then you'll share it.
Okay, I'm going to do it now.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Okay. Right, so we've got a few people coming on now. So, okay. Ladies and gents, a very, very good evening to you all. And thank you for joining us this evening. First of all, to introduce myself, my name is Jonathan Waterman. I'm an award-winning wedding and events toastmaster, planner, celebrant, consultant. I do 360 videos, photo albums, booking agent and more. I love to work closely with all of my clients, offering only a personalised, exclusive and unique service. Now, this evening, I'm delighted to be interviewing Lorraine Carroll. Here is a little bit about Lorraine. Lorraine is an exclusive and UK-based wedding and party planner with many years' experience. She has campaigned on various occasions on ITV and BBC on behalf of the wedding and events industry. For those of you that would like to know more about Lorraine, her website is www.diamonddaysevents.co.uk. I'm really, really honoured that Carol's taken the time and would like to share her insights with you, which is great, you know, so you can all listen, and we'd love lots and lots and lots of questions from you. So also, ladies and gents, before we start, just keep in your mind about all those unfortunate victims that have died, you know, during this terrible COVID-19 episode. You know, it's millions around the world now. So just keep these thoughts in your mind, and obviously pray that they're all resting in peace. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. Lorraine, a very good evening to you.
Hi, good evening, Jonathan, and thank you very much for inviting me. I'm privileged to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a privilege and lovely to have you. So, I'd say thank you very much. So, Lorraine, first of all, if you can tell everyone, please reiterate and tell people who you are and what you do. Just to elaborate on the services that you provide, please.
Okay, so my name is Lorraine, as you can all see. I'm actually a wedding planner and events planner, but predominantly weddings. Have been in the industry 35 years, working my way through. I worked over in Marbella. I worked in Amsterdam for about 6 years of my life. Came back, I ran a club in Mayfair, and then decided to set up Diamond Days 3 years ago, or just under 3 years ago. So I will plan a wedding from beginning to end and find all the suppliers that my couples need, and basically coordinate the wedding for them. No job is too small, no job is too big. So been in it a long time, quite old school, I have to say. So come across quite a lot of the youngsters who do it very differently to how I do it. Jonathan, you'll probably understand that as well. When you've been in this industry so long, you do it your own way. But yeah, I'm still quite old-fashioned in the way I do things. But I mostly end up making friends with all of my couples anyway. So I've built up a very, very big friendship basis. So through COVID, as Jonathan, as you said, would you like me to carry on about what I did with COVID, or do you want to come to that later?
No, we're going to come to that very soon.
Okay.
No, I mean, it's glad that you show so much passion for what you're doing, which is great. And, you know, you've got a certain style which you like, which appeals to your customers. And it's working with the clients according to that style, which is important, isn't it, really?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Absolutely. You have to go with what your client wants. It's their day.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. So you've been in the industry over 35 years. I mean, this is wonderful, to be honest. And you know, you've done destination weddings, you've done lots of things. I mean, how did it all start for you? What was it? You know.
Okay, so when I was very young, and I'm not going to say how young, but I was young. I just about left school. I actually started working at Chelsea Football Club, in their shop, and then I decided I'd go into the exec lounges and work in there. I was very fortunate about right time, right place, and I met a gentleman who asked me to go up and leave Chelsea and set up a football and corporate division for him in Great Portland Street. And I can't name names, but anyway, I set up a division for him, and then he bought a football club himself. So therefore, there was a problem there. So we had to shut the business. So he wanted to make me redundant. And I was about 21 at this point, actually. And I said, don't make me redundant. Just give me your database and I'll take that instead. And hence that's what I did. So I took the database and I flew with it basically. And I opened up my own business then at quite a young age. And then as time went on, I decided to close certain businesses. I then went off to Spain, reopened a golfing business, did quite well with that. And whilst in Spain, did quite a few weddings out there. So that's what made me want to stay in the wedding industry. I then came back to the UK, worked in a private members club in London for over 10 years, running all the weddings and all the corporate events there, including film, did a lot of filming for television and interviews. And then I decided I'm making them too much money, so I would go and set up on my own, which is how Diamond Days Events was born. But unfortunately, because I'm just under the 3 months, which probably a lot of people in here will know, during COVID, that didn't help me because we don't get any government grants because we aren't under the full 3 years, or Diamond Days isn't under the full 3 years. But that's basically how Diamond Days was born. I had a few other jobs in between. I once decided I was going to move away from corporate and went and worked in a bookies. Which I actually thoroughly enjoyed for a little while, and then I got bored with that and I needed to go back into what I knew best. But I just thought, you know what, I'll try my hand at something else. So I went and worked for a bookies for a little while.
I mean, it's very, very interesting to note how diversified you've actually been. You know, you've seen things from various different angles, from both the corporate side, the wedding side. You know, I bet. I mean, we're looking at going back to destination weddings. I bet.
Yeah.
I bet you've got your own set of challenges there, haven't you, when it comes to destination weddings?
Yeah, massively. You obviously you need to know the laws and the rules in each country you do your destination weddings. Holland was very challenging, but we got there and did a beautiful, beautiful wedding there in a little place called Geethorn, which a lot of people have never heard of because it's just like a little Venice. Actually, it's just set on water and it's beautiful. And then obviously Spain, I do most of them are in Marbella, but obviously haven't been able to get out there. And I travel off to Marbella quite a lot normally, but obviously I haven't been able to go for at least I was there in January and I haven't been able to go since. So that's really challenging as well, because you have to remember there are certain rules and things that we have to abide by as a wedding planner to over in their countries.
I mean, it's funny mention about Marbella. I've actually interviewed here in the past somebody you may know who's a planner in Marbella. Are you familiar with Laura Charles at all?
Yes, of course. Yeah, I know Laura. Yeah.
No, she's been one of my guests on here in the past, and we've interviewed her in the past. So I just thought you might be familiar. She's great.
Yeah. I'm in one of Laura's forums as well.
That's fine. Yeah, there's a few people that went out there, wasn't there? And Carol Sabell was another one.
Yeah. There's been quite a lot of people. I mean, the only reason I do Spain, Marbella, particularly, is because I live there.
Okay.
So while I lived there, I sort of built up, some venues, and I actually do have 12 villas that I can hire out for weddings.
Right.
And they're beautiful, villas. Yeah.
No, well, that's good, because it's funny when we look at weddings, a lot of people now are into the DIY side of things, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, but people are trying to save money, and I understand that as well.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, so basically, bearing on what you've said, what sort of plans have you got for the future, would you say, within the industry?
Well, to survive at the moment. I mean, I moved 40 of my weddings from last year to this year.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical. If I'm really honest, I am skeptical about doing any until probably July.
Okay.
Although I would much rather be able to get out there, but I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, the future is very good for 2022.
Yes.
And I'm sure you feel that as well, Jonathan. But for this year, I just think we're until we can get, probably 90% of the population vaccinated, and it is a personal choice whether one gets vaccinated or not. And we've had this conversation before. I don't know where we're going to go, quite honestly. And I think the wedding industry and events and venues have been hit the hardest through all of this, and we have been left so far behind.
Yeah.
And I did a petition right at the beginning, back in March, and we reached the amount of figures for that petition. But it didn't, it didn't really help. They didn't increase weddings. When you're seeing, you can go and watch a football match, and I'm a huge football fan. For 2,000 people, why can't you have a wedding for 50 people even? Because I think 50 is a reasonable number if you follow the COVID rules. I don't believe it should be 6 or 15. You can have more to a funeral, as we know.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it does sort of ring bells in my ears as well. They allow 2,000 in a stadium, and we, penalising us for weddings. It's a big question where that kind of mentality comes from, because they may think to themselves, at a football game, you've got 2,000 people. Okay, social distancing comes into play, but how about the fact when they got there on the train?
They've got to get there. They have to walk there. They have to come out of there. They go and get a beer or a coffee at half time. So they go to the toilet. I know it's silly things, but you know what? We could do all this for a mere 50 people. I think if we could get it to 50, that we would have a little bit more success. But I think you do big weddings as well, like we do Asian weddings, and we know for Asian weddings there's hundreds of people. For Jewish weddings there's hundreds of people, but I think people would be more resilient if we could get it to 50 at least to be able to get married.
Well, I'm inclined to agree with you. I mean, based on what you said, when do you think we could see a return to big weddings? The numbers that me and you have seen, your 200, 300, 400. What do you think?
Oh, I don't think it'll be this year.
No,
I really, I hate to say it, Jonathan, I do. And for anybody out there listening, who's thinking I'm wrong, fair enough. But I honestly, when we see what's going on a daily basis now, I hate to say that, but I cannot see any big weddings, if any, until next year. Until maybe the spring of next year as well. And that means you and me both moving all our weddings again. And as I said, I've moved 40. Yes. I mean, on the books, this year will be my best year, and I'll reach my pinnacle. But that was all the business from last year.
It's funny what you should say, actually, because when 2020 started off up to March, I felt I was literally on for my best year ever.
And me. Last year would have been my best year, and I'd reached the pinnacle where I wanted to be, and carried on, obviously. But, it wasn't to happen. No. And so we just have to carry on. But no, hand on heart, as much as I'd like to say to anyone listening out there, your wedding will go ahead for 150, 200, 300 people, I don't believe it's going to happen till next year. No, I believe we'll have weddings, but I think they'll be, quite low in numbers.
Yes. Yeah. So can I ask you then, just moving on to another subject then for you here, Lorraine. Mm-hmm. How do you, just to tell everybody, how do you actually grow your business? Is it word of mouth, networking, social media? Or what social media platforms do you tend to use?
A lot of mine is word of mouth, if I'm honest. I don't tend to use my website, if I'm honest, either. Instagram is a great tool. Really a good tool, and I find I'm using Instagram more and more. If it wasn't for my daughter who forced me to go onto it, I probably would never have used it. But you know, the kids know more about social media. I'm from old school, yeah, so social media for me at the beginning was pretty hard, but I realized that I have to set up a Facebook account, I had to set up Instagram, you know, I had to set up all these things that Twitter, LinkedIn, all the things that I didn't really want to do, if I'm honest, but I found them quite powerful tools. So I do very little advertising at all, and quite honestly, I'm obviously like yourself. Probably we're pulling back on advertising anyway at the moment. So yeah, I'm on a few other sites where they bid and everything. I do wedding fairs. I did wedding fairs as well, which. I don't do many, you know, but the ones I'm very, very choosy about the ones I do, and the ones I have done have been quite good to me, actually. But most of mine, if I'm honest, and I'm quite lucky, is word of mouth. So, you know, I do a lot of weddings and get recommended.
See, word of mouth is probably the most powerful of the anchors.
All of them. Yeah.
You've got things like word of mouth, which is the venue recommendations at the top.
Yeah.
You know, and then you've got a few others, below. It's, it's as you say. I believe as well that social media you have to have a social media profile these days.
You do. And people used to say to me, and what's your handle? And I think, what the hell is a handle? I don't even know what they're talking about. And I'd like phone up my daughter and say, Steph, what's a handle mean? What does this mean? What does that mean? And she would direct me. So it was quite funny. But now I'm kind of good at it. But if it wasn't for my daughter, I don't think I'd know a lot of half of the things I do, especially on Instagram, where I used to quite make her laugh because I kept forgetting to do the hashtag wedding planner, hashtag this. I didn't understand all that, but I'm good at it now. I know what I'm doing now.
A little bit of coaching there always helps.
Yeah.
Have you obviously been on the wedding planning side of things, Lorraine? Do you have much access to them, or do you look at Pinterest at all for the mood boards? And what's your thoughts on Pinterest?
I do my own mood boards anyway, but yeah, I do have a Pinterest account. Actually, that was one I missed out, but yeah, I do have one of those. But then I have some extremely good suppliers. I have a fantastic florist that I use all the time. I have a fantastic guy that does my lighting and my letters. I have my own DJ. I have my own photographer. I have my own caterers, so I cater for all different niches. So I've got caterers for every kind of religion we need. And I am very, very loyal to those people. I have to be honest, and you probably know that, Jonathan, that I am extremely loyal to my suppliers, and they've been with me for many, many years. And I always use my suppliers for everybody. I also have my own things. I do decorate myself, although I tend to finger point more than decorate. Everyone seems to be pretty good at it. But yeah, so I tend to use the same suppliers. Although I'm quite open to seeing what other people do. I don't shut the door completely.
No. But it comes, I suppose, as a trust issue that you've known for a long time. And,
massively, yeah.
And what you said is a good thing, that you never shut the door. If you see somebody, you like what they do, you see their reviews,
absolutely,
you get on with them, then you might consider putting them on your recommended list.
I also do double book. So I could sometimes, or I've been known to have 3 weddings on a Saturday.
Right.
I will go to the very first one of those 3 that I went, I've been to see the client, and then I will bring in 2 other staff to run the other weddings for me. And they're people you have to trust implicitly, because they also have their own businesses, but you don't want them going there giving their cards out. You want them there working for you just for that particular day. So you have to trust these people implicitly, which is what I do.
No, which is fantastic, which is which is good. So just moving ahead very, very slightly. You've mentioned obviously about trust and about your social media. staying ahead on your social media. I mean, what would you say makes you unique and keeps you ahead of the competition?
Well, my partner would tell you this, and my kids would tell you this. My phone is on 24/7, and it never ever goes off. So people can get hold of me whenever, at any time, at all. I will go above and beyond, if I'm honest, for people. And sometimes it might be a little too much, and it does. It's intrusive in your family life and in your love life, if you like. So it is intrusive. My phone doesn't stop bleeping. It's 24/7. But you know what? I like to think I'm there for people, for couples when they need me. And and I know couples have meltdowns, yeah, and especially the last 10 months. They don't know if they're coming or going. And if they just have that one person that they can, if they need to sort of let off steam, we're there for them.
Yeah, no, which is absolutely great. And that's it's all about customer service, being there for the clients, being their eyes and ears, so to speak, and helping them, whenever they have a query, basically. And
absolutely. And it shouldn't matter if they phone while you're having dinner. No one will agree with me on this, and I get why. But you know what? So if I don't switch my phone off, I don't. But it's my lifeline, and that's the one thing I could never leave home without or lose, because that has everything in it. It's like my little black book. It's got my diary in there. It's got everything. But if somebody needs me, at 6 o'clock in the morning, I might not be at my best, or at 11 o'clock at night, which is when I am at my best. I'm there.
No, which is lovely, really, to be honest.
Yeah,
you're always on hand for your clients to help them as and when needed. That's a fantastic thing, to be honest with you, and a big well done to you there.
Thank you.
That's all right. So you said you're involved with all markets, which is what you've mentioned. You're English, you're Jewish, you're Asian, whatever. So what market would you like to expand further into? What's you're passionate about any one market more than the other?
Do you know what? I'm honestly not. I love all different cultures, and I find them all fascinating. And I've done Chinese weddings where I've learned about the culture of Chinese weddings, and Japanese weddings, and Ghanaian weddings, which are huge, and the Asian weddings. As you know, there's so many different sects to that that you have to learn so much about all these weddings. I also do a lot of gay weddings as well. Or let's say, same-sex weddings, I should say. Yeah, which I absolutely love as well, because they're always fun. All weddings are fun, and all cultures are fun. It's just learning about it. And you know what? You're never too old to learn. And I learn all the time, all different cultures. And I will have to study some of them, or ask certain friends who come from that culture, would you do this, or how do you do that, or and learn about them. So it's very interesting. Asian weddings are very interesting because of the different so many different sects during those weddings, aren't there? So many different traditions that they deal with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But just moving away from markets and that at the moment, I want to ask a question which seems to be quite controversial since this has happened. I want to know your thoughts. Do you feel that wedding or events insurance should be standard to all clients?
Absolutely. And I think everyone should have been paid out, and there shouldn't have been all this hoo-ha that went on with it. I think I worked with WeddingSure, to make sure that all my clients took out wedding insurance. They didn't have to, but it was something I would say you should take out wedding insurance. And this was way before COVID, from 2 weddings I did where unfortunately they were cancelled because of a bereavement, and they got paid out, which to me was, for £35 or 40 quid, it's so cheap. And then when COVID came along and all of a sudden people were not getting paid out, I think it's an absolute disgrace. And I think those companies should be ashamed of themselves that they kept people. They're starting to pay out now, but they really kept people hanging on. And, it was horrendous.
Well, I agree with that. The fact was they never put the indemnity in, a lot of the insurance companies for
exactly that.
But there were one or two, your likes of John Lewis and one or two others, that actually did put the indemnity in, And I've heard stories where people have been refunded, but like you said, there's others that haven't. So, but I think moving forward, I mean, even with COVID or a death in the family through other causes, or for a venue going bust, or for a wedding dress being damaged, a photographer not turning up,
exactly,
it's so advisable because it helps us as suppliers as well, doesn't it? Really.
I mean, the trouble I'm finding now, though, is for my new weddings, because I'm getting bookings in now for 2022. No one's getting insured at the moment. No one's taking wedding insurance, and that's appalling. So, these people are going into getting married without wedding insurance. So all you can do is, so if anyone's out there listening, what I suggest you do is make sure your supplier gives you a contract, whether it's the venue, whether it's a wedding planner, whether it's like Jonathan, a Toastmaster. Make sure they give you a contract, and make sure they have a COVID clause in there as well, because you don't want any surprises. So this is what I've said to my people, my clients, and other people who have come into my forums. Just make sure there's a COVID clause in there somewhere, because you don't want any nasty surprises.
No.
Read the small print, because let's face it, Jonathan, until this happened, I don't think anyone read small print.
No, and you're absolutely right. No, it's funny. I spoke to the proprietor at Glenfall House in Cheltenham, who I speak to, and she was saying to me, even prior to COVID happening, over the years, she's always sort of made sure that clients take insurance by getting them to sign a disclosure. It's always been essential for them to take it. And do we sometimes think that I've heard? Do you think it could have been on the venue's onus to have mentioned this to clients at the time of booking?
What, to read the contract?
No, to advise on insurance, to advise that they look into.
Yes, insurance. I do. I believe that. I mean, I do it as a wedding planner. I always tell, one of the first things I do when I have my initial meeting with people is I say, you seriously need to think about taking out wedding insurance. This is who I deal with. If you don't want to deal with them, go to someone else. But 100%, I think we should all really say to our clients, take out wedding insurance. Not saying that it's gonna help them, but I believe strongly that they should take out wedding insurance.
No, well, it's fantastic. I mean, I think the other thing, obviously, I hear about people is that they're trying to get refunds. They're trying, a lot of people they're trying to get their money back. And do you agree with the fact you work it as well on the basis where you obviously where there's an administration fee, and then you'll refund the rest, so to speak, if they want to get out of their wedding?
Do you know what this is? This is an argument I kind of had with the CMA, about this administration fee, because what warrants an administration fee? Okay, I postpone a wedding. I basically go into my diary, or I go into my computer and I click a button. That's it. Okay, so please don't tell me that costs 50 quid to do, because it doesn't. So venues are trying to make money. And, I deal with a lot of venues like yourself, okay? Venues are trying to make money out of people to recoup some of what they've lost. Don't do it on admin, because it doesn't work. Maybe you should pay for the food if you went to a food tasting. However, you weren't informed you were going to be paying for the food. And all of a sudden, you're now paying for your tasting, which you didn't have to on the initial meeting. Why are you paying for a meeting? That's part of your bottom line, that meeting. You can't charge someone £100 for. I can tell you some horror stories, Jonathan. £50 for to touch a button to postpone it, £100 for a meeting, £100 for a meal. We're going to slap on for a bottle of wine that we gave you. 20 quid for parking. Whatever, they'll just slap anything on, and that's the one thing I don't agree with at all.
No, that's understandable. But what about, say, for the little people that are, your sole traders, your one-man bands? Surely they have to survive, don't they?
They do have to survive, but you don't find a venue that is run by one person. Let's face it. I'm talking about venues.
I'm talking about a venue. I'm talking about, say, a wedding supplier or an event supplier.
Well, yeah, I'm the same. I refunded everybody I could physically refund until basically the money has all gone. Yeah, so I did, but I have a scenario. Okay, so we were doing a wedding in March.
Yeah,
we had bought in all the flowers. for that wedding. Okay. My client hadn't paid me yet for the flowers because it was a week before her wedding and the money was due over. Anyway, we paid for them. The wedding gets postponed until next year. The flowers will come in. They're in Holland. What do? They throw the flowers away. Now, do I go back to that client and I say to her, I paid for all your flowers. I'm sorry, you can't have them, but you have to pay me. I had to make that decision. And the decision I made was not to charge her, and I took a hit. Yeah. So when her wedding comes around next year, she will still be paying for the flowers, but I already took myself and my supplier, we took a hit on those flowers because just I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Not everyone's like me, Jonathan, though. Some people are going, you know what? Phone up. I'm really sorry. Flowers got destroyed. You owe me 600 quid. But it was just, I do think it's up to the individual, and I do think it depends how much you want to survive. And I also believe with social media being so, as it is nowadays, it can damage you as well.
Yeah, I think you've got to take everything into consideration. You've got to, and obviously you've got to look at your own financial position as well. Although you want to help the clients, of course you do. But then on the other hand, say for example, a one-man band, who is struggling and whatever's trying to put meals on the table, then you just need to work things out. That's all.
I think the idea is to talk to your clients and be completely honest with them. And if for the sake of a couple of £100, you could go under. I get that. Yeah, somebody could go under. If it's a DJ or if it's a photographer, they can go under. And I think you need to stress that to your client. Look, the reason why I'm doing this is because it's going to put me in such a bad position. I don't want to sink or swim. I want to be able to still swim at the end of this. Yeah. So could we, maybe even if we could meet halfway and you could pay half of it or something. But I have always said in my forums and in my interviews, and I've done quite a few interviews, don't go for the little man. Don't go for the little supplier. Go for your venue, or somebody who's out there and it's not going to financially hurt them as much as it will us. Yeah, because it's just unfortunate. We're all in the same predicament, as the client as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's just terrible all round, really, and it
is.
I mean, I think just summing that bit up, I think it's as you say, you've got to. You've got to be open with the client. You've got to say, if there are admin charges, for example, for a small business, you've got to say, look, I've done this, and this, and you need to be open and to say, look, we haven't earned money since, say, February, March, and tell them, how things are, and hopefully they'll sympathise with you.
Yeah. I just think it's honesty, isn't it, Jonathan, that we need? Yeah. Everybody needs to talk to each other instead of fighting each other. There's enough going on at the moment as it is.
I agree. I mean, just a couple more questions down. Thank you for that answer. That's great. So really, I mean, what we're saying is summing things up. The COVID has had an impact on everyone's business. What do you feel the actual future of the industry is? What do you think?
I don't believe we're going to get back to where we were for a few years. Okay, yeah. I think weddings will become a lot smaller. Yeah, I think you'll find a lot of people will be doing DIY weddings as well because you can. It's quite easy to do. Yeah. And I do believe our business is kind of, in a bit of a rut at the moment. And I just feel it's going to take a good 2 years to recover from this. Unfortunately for us, and let's hope we're both around in that time because, my books for 2022 are starting to look pretty healthy. Yeah. Let's try and get through this year. But I think it's going to be quite a while before we get back to as we know how it was, Jonathan. Sadly.
Yeah, no, I'm inclined to agree. I mean, I try to put the optimistic face on and think, that maybe by May, June, we may see a bit of traction for smaller weeks, maybe. Yeah. But I think, as you say, for things to get back to normal, I'm sort of inclined to agree. Strength will be more next year.
I believe that as well. So hopefully all of us will survive until next year. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of suppliers, probably like yourself as well, who've gone out and they're driving for Amazon and they're stacking shelves and good luck to them as well, because I admire people that go out, and you know, I thought to myself, maybe I should go and do something else, but I don't really know what else to do.
I know.
And also, I'm on the wrong side of the age bracket to be doing anything, because people want people 20 years younger than me. Believe you me, I'm kind of nearly at the end.
No, I believe, Mark, the old saying is we're as old as we feel.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Well, that's me being nice.
We're as young as the man we feel,
Oh,
or woman in your case.
yeah, exactly. Carol, just to sum things up now,
Lorraine,
is there anything else you would like to add, and how would you like to close this?
I would just like to say that during COVID, I didn't sit back and do nothing. I decided to work with quite a few groups, as you're aware, Jonathan. You're smiling there because you know. I worked with quite a few groups to help them get refunds. We succeeded, and I'm still working with clients now. Not my clients, they're other people's clients, which I have done free of charge, and I will continue to do so. So if anybody out there does need some advice, I work with a wedding lawyer called Pranav, who has been extremely good, and I do a forum with him on Instagram. We do an Instagram weekly or 2 weekly live where he will answer questions for free as well. So I wrote for a couple of newspapers, I wrote a few articles, and I continue to go on my crusade. I was a one-woman crusade, a wedding activist, I believe I was called. So yeah, I will continue to support anybody that needs support. We're not doing much at the moment. You know, I am still doing a few appointments by Zoom. Zoom has been an amazing thing that I had to learn as well, as is FaceTime and WhatsApp and everything else. So just hang in there, everybody. And I wish everybody all the best. But we are going to go through a very tough year, I believe, and I don't think it's going to get better until next year.
No, well, you know what, you've that's great though, Carol, what you've said there, and you've closed very, very, very nicely. So,
Jonathan, you keep calling me Carol, and that's my surname.
Lorraine, I beg your pardon. You have to accept my apologies for that one.
Don't worry, I get it all the time. I'm used to it.
Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you.
That's all right.
I want to say a big thank you to Lorraine, aka Carol. And yeah, a big thank you to all the viewers that have come on today. I want to say keep well and stay safe. The video will be on demand here, so you know anyone can share the video. Yeah, come and have a look when you like, and you know Lorraine will be only too pleased to answer any questions that you have. Really,
yeah.
So,
anything, just come through to me on Instagram or on Facebook or however you'll find me anyway. Diamond Days events, but I tend to use more on Facebook Messenger and Instagram. So feel free to ask me any questions, or if you've got any worries, I'm here anyway.
Thank you very much. So